Well, hello, friends. I do hope you're having a great day today. I hope you're putting your trust in the Lord, knowing that He's just going to do awesome things in your life all day long. God will not fail you. He's never failed you, and He's not about to now. So go ahead and just put your confidence in whatever's going on in your life right now. It may seem like the worst thing that you've ever experienced. Just trust the Lord, my friend. He knows how to bring you through. Well, welcome to Thursday's edition of Take 5. Another cool morning out there today. But hey, I'm telling you, this beats 105 in July any day of the week. Hey, before we get started, let me remind you, please keep in your prayers Pastor Judd Sessions and his family and the people at Foley First Assembly of God. I'm going to keep reminding you throughout the rest of this week. Just hold him up in prayer. He was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer that has progressed and spreaded now to his brain and to his spine. I mean, it did it just so quickly. He needs a miracle from God, and that's good because our God's in the miracle working business. So please hold him up in your prayers. And I realize you probably don't know him, and you don't know anything about his family or his church or anything like that. That's okay. He's a fellow brother in the Lord. Those people there at that church, they're our brothers and sisters in the Lord, and we're just going to pray that God's going to do a work in his life real soon, that he's going to turn that whole situation around. Well, hey, you know what we're talking about? We're dealing with the subject we call the process of neglect. We're going to end up going on into next week with this thing. It just kind of got bigger and bigger and bigger as we talked about it. But I think this is a very important subject because I think this might be the key to most of the problems that we have here, especially right now and especially in America. We're just kind of lazy and neglectful when it comes to our spiritual life. We just kind of put that thing on autopilot and think that, God's just going to handle it. And while the whole salvation thing, God has that handled, our spiritual walk, our spiritual life, it can end up in absolute ruins if we continue to neglect our spiritual health. We can't do that. And we saw a pretty good example that Solomon gave us there in Proverbs 24. I'm really afraid that there are many of our brothers and sisters in the body of Christ around our country today, and probably around the world too, that are headed towards spiritual poverty just like this man was because of spiritual neglect. Even worse, there are probably some that are already there due to this process of neglect. Neglect is a process that leads toward the subsequent ruin of anything in which it's allowed to exist. If you allow neglect to exist, it will lead to the ruin and the destruction of whatever it is. Spiritual negligence, I think, is an issue that has ruined many who were at one time faithful followers of Jesus Christ. You have to take proper precautions to guard yourself against this. And the best way to guard yourself is to know what causes spiritual neglect. So that's what we're going to talk about today and tomorrow, the cause now of this neglect. Now, after pondering this situation for a little bit, Solomon saw the source of this man's neglected field and vineyard. And the same thing that caused this estate to be broken down and to become overrun are the same things that will cause spiritual neglect in the life of a believer. We're going to talk about two of them today. The first one that Solomon recognized that caused this decline is neglect and laziness. He says in Proverbs 24 and 30, I passed by the field of a sluggard. That's it. He just puts it out there. I know it's very harsh, but he just puts it out there, and he says the first cause is this man was neglectful and he was lazy. Let me tell you something, friend. And I can tell you this from experience, and just about any Christian I know, if they'll be honest, they can tell you this. If you're not actively serving the Lord, if you're not involved in Christian service, if you're not faithfully involved in your local church, if you become inactive, if you become idle, trouble is sure to come. You know, there's always been this old wives' tale that says an idle mind is the devil's workshop. Some people even tried to say that was in the Bible. Well, it's not in the Bible, but it's good wisdom. It's a good thought, because idleness is the breeding ground for trouble. I'm just telling you. Jesus told us to occupy till He comes. That doesn't mean sit idle. We're supposed to be busy, and if we're not busy, that gives the devil an opportunity to get in. I know that there was a time in the life of King David. The Bible said in 2 Samuel chapter 11 that in the spring was the time that kings go to war. Well, David's army went, but David didn't go this time, and he stayed back. And the Bible said in verse 2 that he got up off his bed one evening and walked around on the roof of his house, and he saw this woman, Bathsheba, taking a bath on top of the house, and he lusted after her. He brought her in. He committed adultery with her. She got pregnant. He lied. He had her husband killed. All of this happened because this man was not active. I wonder if David would have been at the battle instead of in the bed being lazy and being idle. I wonder if this would have happened. I'm telling you, it's a dangerous note to allow yourself to become idle in the service of the Lord. I wonder, even as far as the disciples, I wonder if Peter would have denied the Lord like he did if he would have been praying when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane with that prayer meeting with Jesus. I wonder if he would have denied the Lord if he would have been praying instead of sleeping. I know some of you are saying, now Russ, that's a hard thing. Jesus wanted him to pray an hour. That's a difficult thing. I get what you're saying. I get that. But I also saw on two different occasions where Peter had no trouble fishing all night, but he had trouble praying just an hour. And Jesus came three different occasions and woke him up. Wake up. You need to be praying. You need to be praying. There's trouble coming. Your spirit's willing, but your flesh is weak. He told them, don't be idle. If you allow yourself to be idle, if you get neglectful right here, that process will cause something to grow up in your life that will ruin you. And it absolutely did Peter for a while there. So let me encourage you, friend. Don't be idle. Don't be lazy. Don't be neglectful. Be about the Lord's work. Don't let it be said of you like it was said of this man when Solomon said, I passed by the field of a sluggard. Don't let your life be seen that way, but let your life be one that is seen as someone who is busy and ready to do the Lord's work. Well, hey, it's been good being with you today. I've got to get out of here. I look forward to being with you tomorrow on Friday's edition of Take 5. Until then, God bless you and have a great and godly day.